Hi, I'm Veronica Tash, and I want to talk to you today a bit about the ongoing shutdown. Um, it's important to remember to think critically during this, but let me go through a little bit about this, let me speed through the background, and then let's talk a little bit more in depth about what's actually going on behind the scenes here. First, this is one of very few shutdowns. Overall, we have 11 of them that actually have people furloughed. And they've all been crammed in the past few decades here. 1980 was the very first one. It lasted one day and it only applied to one agency. We had a couple that lasted 4 hours in the early 80s. 4 hours is all it lasted. And you had a bunch of very short ones that came through the 80s, 90s, etc. We had our first really big one in 95 to 96. They had one, I'm not sure which one was the long one, the first one or the second one, but it lasted a few weeks. We had one during Obama. We had the longest one ever during Trump. Actually, he had two of them. And here's his third one for his second term. And this is going on it went past midnight. I should be getting to bed, but it's 24 days in. That's over 3 weeks. And during that time, there's been no negotiation whatsoever. And so we need to know what's going on here. Back in March, the Democrats Schumered the budget when a few Senate Democrats, including namely Chuck Schumer, just caved in and allowed for cloture on the vote while Elon Musk was illegally dismantling the good things about the government. Wants to go get rid of anything good, seems to have taken vital information that he didn't have the right to have, even though the Supreme Court said, it's okay for Elon Musk to have this information. They were just straight up wrong about the law, and they knew it. It was just pure. There's a reason why the Supreme Court has no legitimacy at this point. It is just a rubber stamping tool for the most part. There is no rule of law anymore. It's all law and order, which is about arbitrariness. The Republicans passed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act in July, which gave them everything they wanted. We are talking about tax cuts for the rich, tax hikes for the poor and middle class. That was largely from extending Trump's tax stuff. People often forget that people making around $70,000, $80,000, maybe as low as $60,000, started paying a tax. No, that would be as low as, it'd be as high as around $100,000. Start paying a tax hike. Well, the people who made a shitload of money got huge tax cuts, and so they made that permanent, which violated the rules of the Senate, but they did it anyways. We have cuts to programs such as Medicaid, all starting right after 2028. So it'll be after the election, and people won't hold it against them. Boosts to corporate welfare. There are even fees to ask for asylum now. People are fleeing their homes, afraid for their lives, grabbing whatever they can before they go. I hope you have the hundreds of dollars it takes now to file for asylum, which is ridiculous. There's no reason why you would ever charge somebody to file for asylum unless you're trying to make the people who don't really need asylum are the ones who are putting in for it because they got hundreds of dollars or thousands, millions of dollars, or you're just trying to keep people out altogether. The latter seems very, very Trumpian. Um, the Democrats are trying to look strong in this. They really looked like shit when Schumer did back in March. So that is what this is. They're not asking for a lot. They're asking for ACA subsidies to be extended, which mainly help people in red states. It's helping Republicans. It's saying that if Trump was smart, he would have just approved right away. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, we'll do that. Take the bite out of them, make them have to try to come up with something stronger. But instead, he decided to be a little asshole, hold off. And he's showing in the polls. People are blaming him. They're blaming Johnson, and for good cause. But now, back in March, before Schumer it up, I had reached out to every Michigan Democratic representative in the House and Senate in Michigan and sent them what they should say, because my sister went to a town hall. You had Debbie Dingell there and her local rep, and a couple others. And they all said they had no idea what to do, what to say. They're just completely lost. So I wrote a big long thing and said, hey, this is what you should do. And best I can tell, one person looked at it, and it was an aide from one of them, said they were going to pass it on. They thought it looked really good. Most people just ignored it completely, even though they did not know what to say. But what I said is things like they should demand that Trump be removed for any sort of agreement, because he was just wildly violating the law, violating the Constitution. You can't have him just go through and take, slashing programs that Congress authorized and demanded that it needs to be funded. Just laying people off left and right illegally. He's not a king. He wants to be a king. He pretends he's a king, but he's not one. That should have been number one. You had the strength and the power. You could have stopped so much horrors that have been on this country. If Schumer had stood up, but he didn't. He gave in. The people are suggesting it was because of his donors wanted a stable stock market. I think knowing Schumer, he may have traded it for some bombing we did in Yemen right about the time that Schumer backed down and gave the cloture vote. That's my personal guess at it. But your guess is as good as any. They should also refuse to vote for any funding whatsoever that they don't agree with. If they think that should be $40 million given to this program or $30 billion given to that program, don't give a dollar more, because there was no guarantee that Trump was going to spend it. So if anything short of them getting rid of him, you do not approve a damn dollar that you do not 100% agree with. And that comes down to the fact that there was no guarantee that Trump was going to actually spend any of it. You give them money to do horrible things, and then the good things don't get done because Trump says, no, that doesn't align with my administration's priorities, as if that's how the law worked. It's not. So, anyways, we went over the Democrats. They're trying to put up a fake bravery stand, and Trump let them get away with it. They're not calling for anything good. They should be, let me stress from the bottom of my heart, ICE is a terrorist organization at this point. It is an enemy of the United States of America. That we are funding it is goddamn treasonous. There should have been, we're not giving a single dollar to ICE, period. ICE is abolished before any sort of continuing resolution. They're not doing that. They went for something weak. Something they thought Trump would give in to, so they could say, "Oh, look, we got some sort of concession from him." They're kind of hopeless. You need huge changes before anything decent comes from the Democratic Party. But for Trump's Republicans, they got two big issues. Number one, they want to distract from the Epstein files. It is very clear that Donald Trump's name is all over those files. They have not purged his name successfully from there. That's not clear that they purged his name. So they do not want any discussion about those files. He went in saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to release them. I'm going to release them. Of course I will." People got very excited. It got him votes. Then, as soon as it comes up, "Oh no, why are people still talking about Epstein?" Complete bullshit. But number two, they I'll also point out that that's why Mike Johnson refuses to swear in Adelita Grijalva, who was elected in a special election in Arizona to replace somebody. She promised to be the 218th vote to release the Epstein files. That's like the first thing that's going to come up. The vote cannot be stopped if the majority of the House demands it, not even by Johnson. So he doesn't want her in. He's sworn in other representatives, specifically GOP representatives, when the House wasn't in session. But he refuses to do anything like that for her because they can override him. They can call the House back to session, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Because I do have some expertise in the area, but I'm not sure about that fact. But one way or another, they can override and force there to be a vote on releasing the Epstein files. And with 218 of them, that's the majority. They're going to also vote to release the files. So he wants to hold that off as long as possible. Second, they don't want to give any ground so if there's any sense that Trump can be opposed. That's one of Trump's big issues. He's sort of surprised at how much he was able to walk over people. That people just gave in. It wasn't any sort of a challenge to him, which it really goddamn should have been. There is no good reason that people didn't stand up, people didn't obey their oaths and say, "No, we're not going to do this. No, you want to fire me. I'm not going to give in." But there's a lot of people there. You can see who had the opportunity and didn't back down. They have violated their oaths of office. And they should, once this is all over, they should not be allowed to serve in office ever again. But so Johnson refuses to open the House and let there be any negotiation whatsoever. He's saying, take it or leave it. This is a clean continuing resolution. So you should have no problem just, kicking it down the road. And remember that because that's going to come up in a little bit. Traditionally, Republicans have always been the ones to hold things up, whether they're the ones in power or not. They want absolutely everything. They are going to get the lion's share. They could be the minority in both the House and the Senate, but there's not that filibuster-proof majority. They are going to get the majority of the concessions. That's what they have done traditionally. They have held everything up till they get just about everything that they want. And they can't do it this time, get everything they want, unless the Democrats back down. The Democrats, thankfully, haven't yet, even though they are weak in what they asked for. They should be asking for more. They should change what they are asking for right now, saying, okay, if this is how it's going to be, this is what we demand. And that be the end of it. Everything I already said about what should be done there. And Trump is using that same thing now. They know that the Democrats often cave because the Democrats are always the ones that say, well, we don't want to hold anything up. We don't want people to go without paychecks. We don't want these services to be delayed. So we're going to cave in and we're going to give the Republicans just about everything that they want, just because they're holding it as a threat to the American people. And, the weak Democrats, that's what they do. And so Trump is being very braggadocious. He is going to harm people. He's going to make federal employees suffer. He's going to lay people off. He's going to cut programs that he doesn't like. And he's been doing a lot of that stuff wildly illegally, moving money around that cannot be legally moved around in that way. And, of course, giving $40 billion to Argentina for some reason. I'm not sure if they got the money yet, but he's giving them $40 billion. That's like, I looked it up the other day, it's like 6.9% of their gross domestic product, their GDP. That's a huge chunk. Why? I want to take a little moment here just to talk about that, because it's kind of important with that big, beautiful bill. What Argentina has is they have an anarcho-capitalist in power, President Milei. He went in saying he's going to slash government programs, like in the big, beautiful bill. He's going to give massive tax cuts to the rich, like in the big, beautiful bill. When Elon Musk was on stage with his chainsaw, who handed him the chainsaw to represent the cuts? Argentinian President Milei. We have the same economic program as them. If they all of a sudden have an economic collapse, it looks really bad for Trump because he's doing the same thing. Questions go in everyone's mind, which they should be going right now. Okay, Argentina did this and they had an economic collapse. We had to bail them out a shitload of money. Who's going to bail us out when our economy collapses because of what Trump is doing, what the GOP is doing? The answer is no one's going to bail us out. We're pretty much screwed. So he makes sure that they're going to be covered. He's going to take money from other things that should be handled to get them their $40 billion. Even though I'm still unclear where this money's coming from, it seems like he's just spending money that isn't allocated whatsoever, just making money appear illegally. But I could be wrong. Somebody needs to get to that a lot deeper. I don't have the time. I'm working on another video that's taking a whole lot of editing, so it's going to take me a while. It's actually a series of videos. But what people aren't seeing, and this goes back to what I told you, remember, about the continuing resolution being clean. What is a continuing resolution? It's a makeshift extension of an old budget to allow time for discussion about the next year's budget. It's time to negotiate because we don't have the time. We're going to kick it down the road. We need to come to a conclusion by this later date. That's the point of the continuing resolution. But Mike Johnson is not doing what you need to do with the continuing resolution. Even if there is none, you have to pass a budget. He's not trying to pass a budget. He needs to still be in the negotiating, whether that was a clean resolution or not, because in the end, it's that budget that needs to pass. The government's not funded until you pass a budget if there's no continuing resolution. Why is he not doing that? Because he insists, essentially, that they're not going to give an inch here at all. When it comes to the budget, no, it's going to be 100% theirs. It's not the same. No, you can't give him the line that it's a clean continuing resolution, because even if it is, if he's saying we're not going to discuss the continuing resolution, you better damn well be discussing what that next year's budget's going to be. You need to be negotiating that. The House does not just simply go by itself and pass whatever it wants, and that's the end of the story. So it should be treated as the actual budget bill here. It should not be treated as just simply a continuing resolution. That is extremely misleading, and it is not in any way, shape, or form what we need. Essentially, you have Trump and you have Mike Johnson. They're fine with letting the country suffer over all this, harming our credit, letting people in his own district even starve, including a military mom who is saying, I'm not sure my family, that my kids are going to survive if you don't pass anything. And he won't even negotiate. He's going to just sit there and try to blame it on the Democrats, which, by the way, wild hat check violations to use public money, public sources, and using your actual position, your office, saying you speak for the agencies in your official capacity, blaming the Democrats, putting that on voicemails. You're putting it in official TSA videos and all that. People, when email first rolled out, Cash Act back from the 30s, people were getting fired left and right over sending an email to a friend that had a political joke in it that was making fun of a Democrat or a Republican. Now they're just blatantly violating it. It's just disgusting. But he's letting people in his, across the country and including his district starve. They go without medical care. You have all these people going without pay, all so that he can hide the Epstein files from you and ensure the continuation of all the harmful policies of the one big, beautiful bill, the one that's going to crash our economy, set us for economic collapse, and there will be no one to bail us out. No one's giving us 6.9% of our GDP. Especially after everybody hates the hell out of Donald Trump. They are going to be partying in the streets over our collapse because of Donald Trump. And here's Mike Johnson trying to be a hard ass, saying, oh, it's up to the Democrats, because he refuses to negotiate one bit. Not on the continuing resolution, not on the budget, which is the entire point of trying to pass a continuing resolution. So you have time to discuss that budget. And that's why I want you to take out of this. They need to still be having that open. We have wasted more than 3 weeks where Mike Johnson refuses to do his constitutional duties, where he is being not in the legal sense, but he is an enemy of the United States right now, endangering the people of the United States for his own selfish gains. And what is that? As far as we can all tell, it's that he's hiding that he's gay. Why? That's such an incredibly stupid thing to try to hide. But that's what he's doing. So he's doing Trump spitting. He's making sure those Epstein files are closed. Make sure Trump is nice and strong because Trump has the dirt on him. Whatever it is, I've seen a lot of really good speculation. That is what I mentioned. But thank you. Think this over rationally. Think critically about it. And ask yourself, what is going on? Are the Democrats doing what they should be doing? And are the Republicans doing what they should be doing? I'm telling you the answer to both those questions is no. But the shutdown is definitely the Jeffrey Epstein shutdown. Thank you.